If this truly were the last video you ever needed to watch, it wouldn't be built on fear, shock, or urgency. It wouldn't try to scare you into changing your life or pressure you with dramatic promises. Instead, it would offer something far more rare and far more powerful: clarity. Most people are not lacking motivation, intelligence, or opportunity. What they lack is stillness. Their lives are filled with constant noise, notifications, opinions, expectations, comparisons, and endless advice telling them who to become and how to live. From the moment you wake up, your attention is being pulled in 100 different directions. Your mind jumps from past mistakes to future worries, from unfinished goals to imagined failures. In that chaos, you slowly lose connection with yourself. You stop listening to your inner signals. You stop asking honest questions. You move through life on autopilot, following routines and roles without ever pausing to ask whether they truly belong to you. But here is the truth most people avoid. Deep down, you already know what feels wrong in your life. You know which choices drain your energy. You know which habits keep you stuck. You know which relationships no longer align with who you are becoming. This knowledge is not hidden from you. It has been whispering to you for years, in moments of discomfort, restlessness, and quiet dissatisfaction. The problem is not ignorance. The problem is avoidance. We often believe that the next book, the next video, the next mentor, or the next breakthrough will finally give us the answers we need. But information is not the same as wisdom. Wisdom does not come from accumulation. It comes from awareness. It comes from being honest enough to look at your life without excuses and brave enough to accept what you see. This moment is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Before you learn to silence your instincts, before you learn to ignore discomfort and call it normal. Clarity does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives quietly when you finally stop running from yourself. If this were the last video you ever needed to watch, its purpose would not be to entertain you or inspire you for a few minutes. Its purpose would be to interrupt your patterns, to create a pause, a space where you can ask yourself one simple, uncomfortable question. Am I living in alignment with what I know to be true? Because once you see clearly, you cannot unsee it. And clarity, once it arrives, changes everything. The biggest mistake most people make is believing that life begins once they feel ready. They tell themselves they will start when they have more confidence, more clarity, more money, or fewer fears. This mindset feels responsible and logical, but in reality, it becomes a comfortable hiding place. Readiness is often just fear wearing a respectable mask. It keeps you safe from failure, judgment, and discomfort, but it also keeps you stuck exactly where you are. Life does not wait for permission. It unfolds whether you feel prepared or not. While you are planning, doubting, and rehearsing, time continues to move forward. Opportunities pass quietly, potential fades slowly, and one day people wake up wondering how years disappeared without anything truly changing. Not because they lacked ability, but because they kept postponing action in the name of preparation. Confidence is not something you discover before you act. It is something you build by acting. Every person you admire once stood exactly where you are now, uncertain and afraid. The difference is not that they felt ready. The difference is that they moved anyway. They allowed themselves to be imperfect, to learn in motion, and to grow through experience instead of waiting for certainty. Taking responsibility is the moment everything shifts. Responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for the past or carrying unnecessary guilt. It means recognizing that your thoughts, habits, and daily choices are shaping your future right now. Even doing nothing is a decision. Even staying silent is a choice. When you understand this, excuses lose their power. You stop waiting for circumstances to change and begin changing how you respond to them. There is something deeply freeing about realizing that no one is coming to rescue you. At first, this idea can feel heavy, even frightening. But beneath that fear is liberation. When you stop expecting others to fix your life, validate your dreams, or give you permission, you reclaim your power. You no longer live in reaction. You live in intention. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it requires you to leave familiar patterns behind. It asks you to risk being misunderstood, to fail publicly, and to let go of versions of yourself that no longer serve you. But staying where you are comes with its own costs. The cost of regret, the cost of unrealized potential, the cost of living a life that feels small despite your inner knowing that you are meant for more. The moment you stop waiting is the moment life begins to respond. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you finally become honest. And honesty is where real transformation starts. One of the most exhausting lies people live with is the belief that they must become someone else to deserve a better life. They think they need a new personality, a stronger voice, a different past, or a more impressive identity. So they perform, they adapt, they reshape themselves to fit expectations that were never designed with their truth in mind. Over time, this constant self-editing creates a quiet, inner fracture. You may look functional on the outside, but inside you feel disconnected, tense, and unseen. Real change does not begin with self-reinvention. It begins with self-respect. The turning point arrives when you recognize how often you abandon yourself in small, daily moments. You say yes when you mean no. You tolerate what drains you to avoid conflict. You stay silent to keep the peace. These decisions seem harmless, but over time they teach your mind and body that your inner voice does not matter. And when you repeatedly ignore yourself, you slowly lose trust in who you are. Stop betraying yourself does not mean becoming aggressive or selfish. It means becoming honest. Honesty is not loud. It is quiet and firm. It shows up in the boundaries you set, the standards you keep, and the choices you make when no one is watching. Each time you honor your truth, even in a small way, you rebuild self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence, peace, and inner strength. Many people fear that if they live honestly, they will be rejected or abandoned. And sometimes that fear is justified. Not everyone will be comfortable with your growth. Some people benefited from the version of you that stayed silent, overgave, or stayed small. When you change, those dynamics shift. Letting go of who you were can feel like a loss, even when it is necessary. But what you gained is far greater: alignment. Peace is not the absence of struggle. It is the absence of inner conflict. When your actions match your values, your nervous system relaxes. You no longer feel the constant tension of pretending or pleasing. Your energy returns, your decisions become clearer, and you begin to feel whole again. Strength is not built through dominance or control, it is built through integrity. It appears when you choose truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, and meaning over convenience. Hence, living this way may not always be easy, but it is deeply grounding. You stop chasing validation because you are no longer disconnected from yourself. You do not need permission to live honestly. You do not need to explain your boundaries or justify your growth. The more you align with your inner truth, the quieter the external noise becomes. And in that quiet, you discover a steady, unshakable sense of self that no opinion can take away. If this is the final lesson you take from this video, let it be a simple but confronting truth. Your life is not waiting to begin. There is no hidden starting point in the future where everything suddenly becomes clear, easy, or perfectly aligned. Life is already in motion. Every breath, every thought, every choice you make is shaping the direction you are moving in, whether you are conscious of it or not. Many people live as if they are in rehearsal. They treat their real desires as something to be pursued later, once responsibilities are handled, fears are resolved, or circumstances improve. But later is an idea, not a guarantee. What you actually have is now. And now is powerful because it is the only place where change can happen. Living consciously does not require dramatic transformation. It begins with awareness, awareness of how you spend your time, awareness of what you give your attention to, awareness of the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what is possible for you. When you live unconsciously, life feels repetitive and heavy. Days blur together. But when you live with awareness, even ordinary moments carry meaning. Choosing meaning over distraction is one of the most radical decisions you can make in a world designed to keep you busy and numb. Distraction is comfortable. It asks nothing of you. Meaning asks for presence. It asks you to feel, to engage, and to take responsibility for your inner world. This choice does not remove pain or difficulty, but it gives them context. Struggle becomes part of a larger purpose instead of something to escape from. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move forward despite fear. Fear will always find reasons to delay you. It will remind you of past failures, possible judgments, and uncertain outcomes. Courage listens, acknowledges those fears, and then chooses alignment anyway. ESE. Time you act with courage, fear loses a little of its authority over you. You do not need another video, another lesson, or another external voice to begin living intentionally. Insight without action quickly fades. What transforms a life is decision followed by commitment. Not perfection, not constant motivation, just a steady willingness to show up differently, one choice at a time. If this truly were the last video you ever needed to watch, its power would not be in its words, but in what you do after it ends. Close this moment with a decision. One honest action, one boundary, one step toward the life you already know you are meant to live. That is where everything changes.